Hey, who killed Charlie Kirk? We're still talking about it. In fact, now we know. We've been told. Yep. You know who killed Charlie Kirk? It was the astronauts. The astronauts did it. Well, last week we told you about the Cowboys did it. Today we're going to talk about the astronauts that did it. And you're going to hear more of the crazy rants that's out there in the conspiracy world about Charlie Kirk and his assassination. This and a whole lot more on this episode of Charlie Crimebuster. What some people are calling, well, they're calling it the fastest minutes in podcasting.
The views and opinions expressed in this presentation are solely those of the individuals participating and do not represent those of city, county, state, or federal law enforcement agencies, nor sponsors and platforms of this presentation. The Charlie Crimebuster name and all forms and abbreviations are property of its owner, and its use does not imply endorsement of or opposition to any specific organization, product, or service. All individuals described or mentioned in the presentation should be considered innocent unless or until found guilty in a court of law. This presentation contains adult subject matter. Listener and viewer discretion is advised.
Well, hello and welcome to another program of Charlie Crimebuster. We're still on the Charlie Kirk assassination because there's just so much out there and there's so many rabbit holes that's been dug. You would think that the whole ground had been dug already because of all the conspiracy theories that's coming out. And they are really, really out there. And we're sharing these conspiracy programs with you, or the arguments of these conspiracies with you, so that you can see what the prosecution is up against in bringing this particular case to court. Oh, they have evidence. They have a lot of evidence. They have what I would call a closed case. I mean, I would love to be able... when I was on the street investigating crimes, I'd love to have as much evidence as the prosecution has to convict the alleged killer. But yet still, we're told all of these very, very far out conspiracies about how he died. Well, today, it's the astronauts. The astronauts did it. Well, how in the world did they do that? How crazy can that be? Hang in here. We'll tell you all about it. But first, let me take a moment to welcome you, if you're a first-time listener or a seasoned listener, to the program. Thank you for being a part of the Charlie Crimebuster crime family. Thank you for boarding the Charlie Crime train. And on our journey today, before we get started, do me a favor, hit that like button and then hit that subscribe button. That way you will be notified every time we drop a podcast. Also, if you have maybe other topics you'd like to see us cover, then we would love to hear from you. You reach me, charliecrimebuster@gmail.com, charliecrimebuster@gmail.com. You can ask questions. You can lodge objections. It's a safe place. You can disagree. And again, you can also be a part of joining us as we support the brave men and women who run toward danger instead of away from danger. This is why every week we invite you to join our sponsor, PeacemakerNetwork.com, and there you can read about the brave men and women of the military, of law enforcement, and the first responders who are always running toward danger instead of away from danger. You can be a part of supporting them. Check it out, PeacemakerNetwork.com.
The following podcast is brought to you by PeacemakerNetwork.com. PeacemakerNetwork.com. Audio is provided by Pixabay.com. That's Pixabay.com.
All right, by now you know that the number one podcaster out there that's really pushing these conspiracy theories is Candace Owen. And every week she seems to have another controversial conspiracy to push about the killing of Charlie Kirk. However, it seems that lately she's gone off of the investigation side and just decided to use a wrecking ball to attack Charlie Kirk's widow and his organization. Now remember, this is a person who said that they were, quote unquote, a close friend to Charlie Kirk. Well, my friend, as I said 2 episodes ago, repeatedly, with friends like that, who needs enemies? She is on the attack, and she's taking a wrecking ball to Charlie's wife and to his organization. Here's some of the things that she's been saying about Erica Kirk, who has now taken the leadership of Charlie's organization, which is called Turning Point USA. She's now the lead person. She is the one who's in charge of the organization. that was set up as kind of a succession for this whole situation after Charlie, of course, was killed. And the interesting thing about this is when Owen first started talking about these conspiracies, that, well, we don't believe the government is telling us the truth about the assassination. We're not even sure that Tyler Robinson was there during the time that Charlie was shot. We don't believe that Tyler Robinson, the guy they arrested, is the right guy. We believe somebody else was involved. We believe maybe that we don't believe the bullet that they say killed Charlie. As she began to do all of that, and people began to complain a little bit about what she was saying, she said, well, Erica's not said anything bad about what I'm saying, and if Erica tells me to stop, I'll stop. Well, guess what? Erica Kirk did issue a request for Candace Owens to stop. And Candace Owen, instead of stopping, has doubled down. And now she's taken a wrecking ball, not only to destroy Turning Point USA, but even to try to destroy Eric Kirk. She's attacking Eric Kirk very boldly in her podcast. One of the first things that she said was that she actually accused Erica of the Meghan Markle syndrome. In other words, she was saying, well, Erica said that she wanted privacy only when it suited her, but publicity when it suited her as well. In other words, when Erica was talking about all these attacks that the organization was getting, especially the people that were close to Charlie, and I'll talk about that a little later in the podcast, but when she said that, she comes to the public and Erica Kirk says, please, stay away from attacking the people that I love. These are people that I love. They are off limits. And she says, please leave them alone. Now, she didn't say leave her alone, but she said leave these people that are close to Charlie alone. And so instead of respecting that, she has doubled down on that, Candace has, and now she is saying, well, Erica, she wants privacy when it suits her, but she wants publicity when she suits her. And she talks about all these places that she's gone online with and those that she's come to with all kinds of interviews. She's saying that this work of Erica to get out in the public is saying, well, I want the publicity, but then when the publicity get hot, then I don't want it. In other words, it's nothing more than a slant. It's nothing more than an attack on Erica. Of course, Erica is going to be doing interviews. Why? She is promoting the organization that she is now at the head of. She's doing exactly what anybody should do who was taking this organization over. And it's amazing to me, if any man were to do the things that Erica is doing, most people would sit back and say, this is a strong man. He's bringing strong leadership to it. But no. In Candace Owens' world, it has to be something wrong with it. Now, she's also talking about Erica's own handling of Turning Point USA's leadership. She has publicly questioned Erica's ability to run Turning Point USA. She's claiming that she makes organization decisions as based on emotion rather than logic. But yet there's no proof that that's ever happened. It's no proof that she's just using emotion other than logic. And who doesn't use some emotion in what they do in leadership positions? It is part of what we are as humans. We are all a part of an emotional element. We have a part of us, and those emotions are going to be a part of what we do. That's what you do when you motivate people. You usually motivate people with emotion. So all these things that she's attacking her for are literally things that could make a good leader. Then she criticizes Erica for not embracing these wild conspiracy theories. Now, she's pushed these conspiracy theories about Charlie Kirk's assassination, including that insiders betrayed him, or the government was involved, or Israel was involved, or the preachers were involved, or the Cowboys were involved, and as we're going to talk about today, the astronauts involved. And she pushes all these wild accusations out there, And then she turns around and attacks Erica for not embracing these wild claims that she's actually putting out there. And she even to the point that she's now got people leaking to her private audio recordings, and she is literally playing those before her millions of listeners, again, of trying to attack her. She accuses her of making money off the controversy. In other words, she's saying that Erica has used Charlie's death to raise more money for the organization. Well, it's true. They have raised a ton of money from people, good people, who want to see the organization continue to go forward. However, it's very unusual to me that she doesn't realize in the same way Candace is making all kinds of money from all of the attention that she's getting by spreading this conspiracy on her podcasts. She's making tons of money. She's getting tons of clicks. So, it's kind of hypocritical, don't you think, to try to say that the organization is making money off of his death, when in truth, Candace herself, is making money off of the death. So here's what I mean when I say she's taking a wrecking ball and taking it, and she's trying to destroy the organization, first of all, by attacking Erica herself. And she's not only attacking Erica, she's attacking the organization itself. Now, here's what she said December the 2nd, 2025. She posted this publicly. She says, quote, "I can now say with full confidence that I believe Charlie Kirk was betrayed by the leadership of Turning Point USA and some of the very people that actually came to the stage at his memorial service." So she's saying these people, he said, she is saying that he was betrayed by them. She actually compiled and shared what she called a list of 10 verifiable lies by Turning Point USA in the aftermath of Charlie's death. And many of those lies, there's nothing more than some mix-ups from certain things that were said and certain things that were quoted that easily can happen in the midst of a crisis, like somebody being assassinated. She attacks Erica's leadership, as we talked about, even the appointment of her being the CEO. She basically said that Erica never should have become the CEO and chairman overnight. She argued that Erica is not just a grieving widow, but someone who must now answer difficult questions. And she's implying that Erica is unprepared or unfit. And again, as I said earlier, she's released these Zoom calls involving the staff and Erica Kirk shortly after Charlie's death. And she talked about, basically criticized the fact that they were upbeat, that they were looking for the future. Now, any CEO, if you have an organization, you want to take it forward. You want them to be thinking about the future. Sure, a terrible tragedy has happened. There has been a time to grieve. There was a memorial service. He was given respect. And now it's time to go forward with Charlie's mission. And when you go forward with a mission, you need to be positive. You need to think forward. But all of this that Erica and the leadership team is doing there at the organization to get the organization on its mission that Charlie had set aside for the organization, she now comes back, Candace does, and attacks that as saying, well, this is not showing real grief. There's something wrong with this. I just don't like this. This is not the way that it should be. And then, of course, Turning Point USA sent a cease and desist letter to her about these claims, and so on comes back and mocks it as lawfare, she called it. And she gets a hold of that. She accuses the leadership of withholding information. She questions how the leadership reported details around the assassination, about the type of weapon, the circumstances of the shooting. And this is her way, again, of attacking the investigation. And she continuously reposts threatening messages and private communications sent to suggest that these insiders within the organization had acted strangely or with foreknowledge about that, even though these claims have remained unverified and have not been verified to be true. She is indeed attacking the organization. She has included in her criticism that Charlie was betrayed by the leadership. She's accused the organization of lying. She's accused them and mocked them about leaking internal communications. She's attacked Erica Kirk's leadership role. And she is ridiculing now the fact that the organization is pushing back on these lies that Candace has been bringing to the forefront about this organization. So yes, indeed, she has taken a wrecking ball to the organization of Turning Point USA. Now, not only has she attacked the organization, but she's also attacked what is called Turning Point Faith. Now, Turning Point Faith is the faith basis of Charlie's organization. He has a political side of it, and he also has a faith side of it. And if you ever heard Charlie Kirk at any of his rallies, you'll see that he oftentimes speaks about his faith. He is unashamed to mention the fact that he's a Christian. He's unashamed to mention the fact of his faith, and this is a part of Charlie Kirk, therefore it's a part of his organization. But this is a part, particularly, that Candace Owen seems to be adverse against and is attacking with a fierce commitment to bring that part of it down. Now, talking about getting far out there, Candace has even mentioned that some pastors have a military background. And of course they do. If you go into any organization at all, you're going to find that there are people there who have a military background. We have thousands of people who have served the military, and they've served it proudly. So if you were to take a group of pastors anywhere in the world, you're going to find that the number of them do have a military background. But she seems to think that this military background is something more sinister. In other words, that this is a part of a military, some sort of psychological warfare that they're using to plant people into churches, the pastors into churches, that are nothing more than an agent from this secret military mission to somehow psychologically help people to believe what they're supposed to believe. And so she's taken good, sincere men who have committed their life to the Lord and committed their life to their ministry, and now she's trying to align them with some sort of crazy conspiracy that this somehow had something to do with Charlie Kirk's death. All these crazy things she's saying, she brings it around somehow to try to tie it into the assassination of Charlie Kirk. As I said last week, she said, well, the preachers did it. She said the Cowboys did it. Told you how she got involved in the cattleman's ball and somehow pulled that into the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And now she's trying to pull a Turning Point Faith into the assassination, that these pastors must be a part of some sort of secret mission of the military, and that Charlie Kirk had been targeted from the very beginning, even when he was a little child and he went to a special school, that somehow, some way, that the government was watching him, and because he wasn't going in the direction that they thought the government that he ought to go in, that the government then had him killed, and that these network of pastors somehow had something to do with it, just like she thought that this network of crooked cops had something to do with it. She's bringing all of this conspiracy in because she knows this conspiracy sells. She knows that it resonates with an audience out there. And she really attacks some really good places of faith in that area. Now, it's interesting to me that she's hypocritical in this, because while she will attack other faith-based ministries, anywhere from Liberty University all the way to these pastors that are a part of Turning Point Faith, she seems to think that it's okay for her Catholic belief, that her Catholic belief is above reproach. An example, one of the pastors in one of the churches, I don't know what church it was, but one of their missionaries, and they have probably thousands or hundreds of missionaries out there, one of the missionary pastors in another country was involved in some sort of child abuse. Well, you can just about go to any denomination anywhere in the world, and you're going to find that there are some pastors and priests and preachers who have been involved in some really, really bad situations, such as child abuse. And yet she's made a really big deal trying to bring this association into really good people who are in leadership positions. But at the same time, she embraces her Catholic faith, and she's saying, well, they should be listening to a priest, not these pastors. Do you realize how hypocritical that is? How many of us that are listening right now know how much of a black eye the Catholic Church has received from priests who have been involved in child abuse? Think of the lawsuits in just the last 20 years, 25 years that have come to the Catholic Church regarding the fact that people have been abused by Catholic priests. Now, she's very quick to talk about sex abuse in some of the faith churches that are involved in Turning Point USA, but she has a blind eye to all of the child sex abuse that's happened at the hands of Catholic priests. Here's the bottom line. There are bad apples everywhere. Just like when we talk about the police department. You know that I'm very pro-police. I am a retired law enforcement officer myself. I have a great deal of respect for my brothers and sisters in blue, for those that are behind the badge. And yet I know that there are people who wear the badge that are rotten apples. And when I was a chief deputy or when I was involved in any sort of law enforcement leadership role, I would be a part of doing everything I can to expose those type of people. On the podcast, we will expose bad cops. There's no room for bad cops. There's no room for bad clergy. There's no room for bad pastors. There's no room for bad priests. But she has a way of just avoiding the fact that the faith that she embraces has bad apples too. And she takes one or two bad apples, and I say one or two, there's more than one or two, but percentage-wise, it's very small. I'll guarantee it's very, very small compared to how many good pastors out there, how many good men of God there are, how many good priests there are out there. But these one or two are in this small percentage, I should say, not one or two, but small percentage when you compare it to all of them, are very small. But she's taking this and making a big deal out of this and saying that even that somehow, some way, there is a network of child abuse or there's a network of human trafficking involved in it. She's even brought that up, that she thinks that maybe it was the fact that they wanted to use Charlie's organization for human trafficking, and he wasn't allowing it, wasn't doing what he thought they ought to be doing, and so that could have been a motive why Charlie Kirk was killed. And no proof at all to any of this stuff. No proof at all. Well, in just a moment, I'm going to tell you now, she's even come to the point that she said not only the Cowboys did it, the preachers did it, the soldiers did it, or perhaps the Israelis did it, or perhaps the French people did it. But now she's come to the point that she's saying, well, the astronauts did it. How in the world did we get to the point that the astronauts were involved in this entire case? Well, I'm going to tell you about that in just a moment, but right now it's time for us to take a quick, brief moment, relax, take a deep breath, and for me to share with you Charlie Crimebuster's Crazy Crook of the Week. Well, our Crazy Crook story today is a Missouri woman, not a Florida woman, but a Missouri woman. A Missouri woman was complaining about the police at the city council meeting. Now, you know that people have the opportunity to go to the city council and to complain about the police, the popo. But this was a little different because Berkeley Police Major Steve Runge, he said that he spotted Jamaica Moore as she spoke at the Berkeley City Council on January the 12th. She was talking about the way that she thought the police was working a case. And he said to himself, "Are you kidding me? That was my reaction. Because we had been looking for her for some time." When he recognized her, he then texted the officers to pick her up. Because you see, this lady who was complaining about the police, well, she had an arrest warrant. He told his officers to arrest her in the hallway to avoid disrupting the meeting. They had been trying to find her for about 2 months, but she refused to be found. She was sought on charges of domestic assault, armed criminal action, over an alleged stabbing attack against her boyfriend from October in 2025. Police say that she stabbed him with a butcher knife in his left arm after she was enraged when he mentioned another woman. Well, she said to the people in the recording, "Well, you're lucky I didn't stab you in the freaking chest." Only she didn't use the word freaking. Well, 3 days after that, there was another domestic incident that involved her wielding a baseball bat. And so now, get this lady who's wanted for domestic assault, this lady who's wanted for all these charges, decides that she's going to go to the city council and she's going to talk to the city council about the police. My friend, let me tell you something. If you have arrest warrants out of you, it's probably not best to go to a public forum and complain about the police. She did it, and she was arrested. She found that the popo was not only somebody for her to complain about, but they were the very people that took her in custody. So this crazy crook who had arrest warrants out for her and decided to go in a public forum and talk about the police, she is indeed Charlie Crimebuster's Crazy Crook of the Week. All right, now it's time to get down to the nitty-gritty of what we've talked about today. Candace Owen, who incidentally, it just kind of blows my mind that she says that this is all about investigation. If you're investigating somebody, you don't get out every little minute thing about that person and complain about that person and throw shade on that person. It doesn't seem to me that she's investigating. It seems to me that she's trying to destroy an organization. It seems to me that she's on a vendetta against the new leader of Turning Point USA. It sounds to me that she may be a little peeved that she wasn't tapped on the shoulder to run the organization. But she has her conspiracies, and now she's talking about the astronauts. Well, what do you mean by that? Well, she mentioned 2 times, not once, but 2 times in this particular last week's series of podcasts, that she thought that the moon landing was a fake. That's right. She thinks that it was a fake. She's expressed that belief even beyond this time. She says she definitely believes that the Apollo moon landing was faked, that nothing about it makes sense. She talks about the NASA's erasing of original footage as her reason for skepticism. On her own podcast, Why I Left This Religion, she stated that after reading certain books and conspiracy theories, she came to think that the government staged the moon landing to create a mass psychosis event that she believed the evidence points toward it all being fabricated. Now, reporting on her own line history also notes that she tweeted and described the moon landing as, quote, fake and gay, which is a phrase that she sometimes uses in a dismissively way to talk about conspiracy talk. Even her past comments and past podcasts, she's often been quoted as saying she doesn't really want to fully endorse the moon landing hoax, but the broader context, she says, leans towards skepticism. In short, Candace Owen has repeatedly questioned whether humans walked on the moon, saying that she believes the 1969 moon landing was faked, or at least that there was serious reason to doubt it. And she's brought up that moon landing in the same context, get this, as her recent commentary on Charlie Kirk. You see, Candace Owens in the past has questioned commonly accepted facts, even about the moon landing. And she brings this up as part of a broader pattern in her commentary where she questions mainstream narratives and conventional explanations in favor of unconventional or conspiratorial interpretations of events. When she discusses the moon landing alongside topics like Charlie Kirk's death, well, what she's doing, she's just evoking a general theme of mistrust in the official accounts rather than making a statement specifically about space exploration at that moment. You see, this is the way that she approaches information. Mentioning the moon landing when talking about Charlie Kirk, well, it highlights her belief that authorities from the government, even to media and powerful organizations, may not be telling the full truth. She often frames accepted or historical investigative accounts as being deceptive and staged. And that's why the moon landing denial is one of her best-known examples in this style of questioning. It is part of how the media and even critics describe her style. She often does this. So she brings in the idea, well, we can't even believe the moon landing. How can we believe that the FBI has the right person for the death of Charlie Kirk? And that's how she brings that all into it. So I'm hoping that you're getting, in these last two podcasts, how outrageous her rants are. The preachers did it. The Cowboys did it. Her own team did it. The Israelis did it. The French did it. The CIA did it. The FBI did it. President Trump did it. He was a part of it. All of these people are a part of a deep state that somehow has come to the mind, in their own minds, that Charlie Kirk had to be eliminated and that they were behind the death of Charlie Kirk. The only problem? Not one iota of evidence on any of those highly speculative, outrageous theories. The evidence points to a lone gunman, the alleged Tyler Robinson, who is going to go on trial for the shooting and killing of Charlie Kirk. Well, there we have it. I can't wait to see what happens next week. We already know she's now said the preachers did it, the soldiers did it, the Israelis did it, the French did it, her own team did it, the Cowboys did it, and this last week, even to the point that the astronauts, they had to be in on it because they staged the moon landing, and that's a part of this deep state conspiracy where these people are doing all these things in secret behind the scenes, and that we're really not in control of destiny. Well, that's exactly where she is in a nutshell. Well, this is Charlie Crimebuster. Until this time next time, when we have to wait to see, maybe it's going to be the aliens did it. I don't know. Let's wait till next week and see. Till this time next time, Charlie Crimebuster reminding you, be safe, be alert. Yep, for the life you save, it may be your very own.
You have been listening to Charlie Crimebuster. We would like to thank our sponsor, the Peacemaker Network, and also encourage you to support the first responders, military, and law enforcement personnel by contributing to the Peacemaker Network. That's peacemakernetwork.com. All music and sound effects are courtesy of Pixabay.com. That's Pixabay.com. You can also support us by subscribing to our YouTube channel, tag @CharlieCrimebuster, and then click the subscribe button. By doing so, you'll be notified each time we drop one of our shows. Another more convenient way for you to listen to our podcasts, or for you to say to your smart speaker, play Charlie Crimebuster. If you have comments or suggestions, we would love to hear from you, so please send them to charliecrimebuster@gmail.com. That's charliecrimebuster@gmail.com, or you can call or text us at 407-917-2211. That's 407-917-2211. Thank you for listening, and we hope that you will join us again for another exciting crime episode with Charlie Crimebuster.